Hello! In this video, I will show you how to select the best ETFs, literally out of thousands of options, and I will buy an ETF with my Revolut account. For ETFs, it's easy to get lost in the details, so we try to cut through the noise together. I'm David, and this is my first 100K channel about personal finance, so let's dive into it. First up, why is everyone talking about ETFs? Exchange-traded funds, or in short ETFs, are a financial product who replicate a whole index. They are diversified, low risk, and cost-effective. Now, what does that mean? So for example, the S&P 500, one major index from the US, has 500 companies listed. If you buy the S&P 500 ETF from iShares, Amundi, whoever, you buy into the performance of 500 stocks within that index. You don't need to research individual stocks. You don't need any special skills. You just buy the index and you're automatically diversified. Even though we had years where major indices dropped more than 30%, returns have been predominantly positive over decades. As you also can see in this chart going back to 1995. And the trend is very clear, upwards. Annual fees of ETFs are around 0.1% up to 0.3%, but you don't optimize for the fees behind the comma, rather focus on how much you want to be diversified versus how much returns you want to generate in 5 to 10 years. You also have to remember that passive index ETFs are cheaper and perform better versus mutual funds, which are managed by funds managers who want to get paid for a worse performance. Okay, here are my selection criteria that I found useful. First, I decide on the asset class. I favor equities over bonds and commodities. I also favor the American indices like S&P 500 and NASDAQ because they perform so well over decades. Then, second, I'm looking at how many companies are included in one ETF. Is it 1,000 companies or 100 or 10? Do I focus on specific industries like healthcare, or do I invest in themes like sustainability? After that focus is set, I look at the fund size and the fund age. Bigger is better and older is also better. Returns over a 5-year period is probably my most important criteria. The more you are diversified, the lower your returns tend to be. So finding that sweet spot between returns and diversification is key. And finally, I look at the fees to choose between two providers, say Vanguard versus iShares. Now it's time for my top ETFs. First up, we have the Vanguard FTSE All World with 16.6 billion fund size and costs of 0.22% and 3,600 companies included. VWCE is one of the most broadly diversified index funds available and popular amongst the passive investing community. Then moving on to the iShares Core S&P 500 or IVV. This is one of the top 10 ETFs in the US as measured by assets under management. 107 billion in fund size, 503 companies included, 0.07% annual fee, and accumulating. Accumulated means dividends will be reinvested instead of paid out, leading to a bigger compound effect. Another interesting option in my list is the NASDAQ 100 ETF from iShares with 17 billion in fund size, 0.30% annual cost, and it has an accumulating distribution. It has 101 companies in it, and it performs very well. And finally, we have my favorite, the S&P 500 Information Technology ETF with 10.5 billion in fund size, 0.15% in annual cost, and accumulated distribution. It has 69 positions, so diversification fans will be shocked. But you don't have to decide only for one ETF. You can try a few in the beginning before you find your own favorite. I'm linking my ETF watch list in the description box down below. And now comes the fun part. We compare how these ETFs perform over the time period of 5 years. The best returns are achieved by the Information Technology ETF, followed by the iShares Nasdaq 100 ETF, and the Vanguard FTSE All World is somewhere around here. But what's your favorite ETF? Which selection criteria are important for you? Let me know in the comments. All right, after selecting the ETFs, it's time to open a brokerage account. For this video, I'm testing Revolut. I already built my watch list with the ETFs. Now I have a look at the S&P 500 Information Technology ETF. I can review the details here, and then I'm going ahead and buy my first share. Purchasing is the easiest part of the whole process. Starting imperfectly is more important than waiting perfectly, so I recommend to begin with small amounts, test a few ETFs, learn about fees and taxation, and then scale your position once you're more comfortable with them. Did you enjoy that video? Then share it with a friend. Thanks in advance and see you in the next video.